Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to do a fairly short video on doing some die cutting. So I'm attempting to make some of these fall leaves. This is the Tim Holtz, this is a thinlit die. It's called Leaf Fragments. And I took a bunch of watercolor paper and I just went through, and I'll show you the colors that I used here in a minute, and just did a whole bunch of just inky backgrounds, spraying a bunch of different papers. You can see them here. And added water, so I would spray the watercolor with a little bit of water, and then I would spray the ink on there, and then I would spray a little bit more water to kind of smooth it out a little bit. So you can see all the different, I used some distress sprays, and I also used some oxide sprays, and I'll show you which ones I used here primarily. So I used fossilized amber, and I used tattered straw, and dried marigold. I used peeled paint, and I used oxide crackling campfire and oxide fired brick. And I did some oranges. I did the carved pumpkin in the oxide. And I used, like I said, the peeled paint and bundled sage in the distress spray. So I just tried a couple different combos, and so I let them dry, and now I am just gonna cut these out, and I just kind of lay these down to where I think I might get an interesting design. Sometimes you get the little bits still stuck in your die, so I just use my little pokey tool and poke those out. That one looks pretty good, and so does that one. So, and the sandwich I'm using the thinlit die, this die this plate that comes with it, a thin piece of copy paper, and then the thinlit plate, and then this magic mat, and then a top plate. And I just put this through. I go through 4 times. I probably only have to go through twice, but I figure it doesn't hurt to go through a couple extra times. So I'm using these for my fall journals that I'm making. There we go. And look at that. And I still have to poke out all the holes. So I'll come back. I'm going to keep doing a few more sheets. Look how pretty these are. Aren't those gorgeous? And I'll probably want to add maybe a little bit more green or a little bit more brown to these. I'll see. Once I get the holes poked out, I'll take a look. I have, I don't know, maybe 70 or 80 of these cut out. Something like that. And I am just going around and poking all the holes out of these. You can see. And it really makes a difference once you poke the holes. Like this just doesn't look as good as once you poke the holes out. I mean, isn't that weird? I just, it just kind of brings it to life. So it's kind of a pain to get all the holes out of here. I do have this little brush, and I rub it across here. I think I got this at either Ranger or Simon Says Stamp, I think. but it doesn't work super great on, I don't know if it's because this is watercolor paper or if I should still have it in the dye. I mean, it gets some of them out, you can see, but it doesn't get all of them out. So for the ones that it doesn't, oh, there we go. So for the ones that it doesn't get out, I just kind of use my pokey tool there and use that. And I am going to play around with kind of inking up the edges. I can't decide if I want to do another little kind of like some splatters. I might do like some splatters on here. I haven't decided, but they look pretty good. And so these are going to go in my journals. What I'm thinking about doing is this is my fall journal, and I'm thinking about adding a couple on this flap here, kind of. And I don't know if I want to do 2, or maybe I'll do 3. I don't know if 3 will be too much, or if I should do, oops, I think that's, no, that's right side up. Or if I just do 2. I like either. So that's kind of the next step, is to finish getting all of the holes poked out of these, and then we'll kind of finish these up. And I'll play around because I'm trying to, I might even get my watercolor pencils out, because I like some of the variation, and I have a lot of that variation, honestly. So it might be good once I kind of put a little cluster of 3 of them together. But I might want to add, oh, you know what? I think walnut stain might look good as opposed to vintage photo. Let's see if I have my walnut stain handy, and I'll try it with you all. Yeah, let's see. Oh yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that looks good. Or even, I do have scorched timber. Ooh, I might even try a little scorched timber. Yeah. So I don't think they need much. And I don't know if I'll do the splatter or not. I'm kind of, but I mean, look how pretty all these look together. I'm thinking I don't need the splatter. But you all tell me what you think. But I'm definitely going to do a little inking them up a little bit. Trying to kind of keep them grouped, because I need a certain amount of each one. So yeah, super easy project, and I'll show you how they look on the journal once we get finished. I got all of the little holes out of all of the leaves, and I think these turned out really cool. You know, you never know what you're going to get because you're just making inky backgrounds. And the other cool thing is that the paper that I used to cut these out, I now can use that as a stencil. So I think that's really cool. So all I'm going to show you real quick is just a little bit of, I'm going to be using scorched timber here. And I'm just going to add just a little bit of detail around the edges. I think it kind of helps define it a little bit. And then I was using vintage photo. I'm just wanting to get a little bit of, I'm kind of going on the edge of the sponge here, and I'm just wanting to kind of, I don't really want it on top, I just want it kind of down in the holes there. So I do it a little bit on the front and a little bit on the back. And I don't know if it really gets in there, but I think it does because it's, you know, a white or cream colored. So I think that adds a little bit of depth. And then I think another fun thing to do is say I want a little bit more of red maybe showing here. I'm just using this, I think it's aged mahogany. Let's see. Yeah. And I put a little bit of ink on there, and I am just barely, like, just kind of setting the sponge down on there. And it's just ever so lightly leaving a little bit of that color on there. I don't know if you can tell, it seems to be getting a little bit redder. But you can do this with whatever color. So say, like this one, we want maybe a little bit more orange in there. Then we could just take an orange color and tap. I'll even just do a little bit of red on here. You can see it kind of showing up right there. But if you want, you know, kind of to enhance, or if there's a color maybe missing that you want to add or something like that, then that is a way that you can do it. You don't want to like push down. You don't want to, because you'll leave like an impression of the sponge on your leaf, and so you don't want to do that. But I think inking these up, you could just use vintage photo, but I kind of like the scorched timber. I think kind of pops a little bit more. The vintage photo, it doesn't really show up that much. But I think these turned out really cool. I'm obsessed. I'm so glad I had been wanting to purchase it, so I'm glad I finally purchased it. Because I think these are so fun. And another tip I was going to tell you, another fun thing to do is to do a little splatter. So just take like a little paintbrush or a little splatter brush, whatever you have, and just kind of, you know, put this a little bit paint on there, and then you'll get some little splatters on there. If you want to add some splatters, you could also get like your watercolors out and add a little bit more if you wanted to add some more to these, or your distress crayons. So lots of different ways you can jazz them up more, but I think they're really pretty as is. They didn't need a whole lot, in my opinion. And let me show you how I ended up using them. So these are my journals that I'm working on for this month, my fall journals. And what I did is on this page, I took and selected, there's 5 different sizes. There's like 2 smaller ones, a medium one, and then a couple of the larger ones. Like this is one of the larger ones. And so I just kind of picked out some, and I don't know if you can see the scorched timber along the edge. And then I just added a little bit of either the aged mahogany or a little ripe persimmon, or maybe even a little forest moss. But I really didn't do much to change the color, honestly. It's mainly just the scorched timber. And I really am pleased with how these came together. I think I'm going to make a couple fall cards with the ones that I have left. Here's another one here. So I am just really pleased with how these turned out. If you don't have this die, you know, you can use any leaf die. You won't have the holes in it, but I think any sort of leaf die would be just as pretty, honestly. And you could even, you know, cut holes in your paper or poke holes in your leaves if you don't have this die. But yeah, I just wanted to share with you this project. I really love these inky backgrounds. I think they're really cool. And it wasn't that much of a pain to really get all the holes out of here. I just put a show on and just did it while I was watching a show. But yeah. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.